The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Trackside Live. Trackside Live is presented by the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center. Now let's go trackside to the Delaware County Fairgrounds and your host, Frank Froz.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Delaware County Fairgrounds. It's Jug Day, and this is Trackside Live with the OHHA, our speaker series. Our final Trackside Live of the year, and today we are going to talk a little bit about the Little Brown Jug with three people you know up here. We are joined by Gabe Prewitt, Wendy Ross, and the voice of the Little Brown Jug, Roger Huston. Thanks for joining us today, folks. How's the week been going for you guys?
Well, great as always.
Always good to be here. We always have a great time Jug Week, and we love being here. We'll take this 9:30 spot, though, Greg. I'll tell you, I'm a fan of this one. I'm a fan.
Well, you don't like to get up early?
Well, I've been up the last couple mornings to film my U.S. trotting pieces that we put out. If you want to watch, the fillies were yesterday. The colts are going out today. So I've been at the Jug Barn and Jugette Barn at 7. But the good thing is, it's cool to be me because I get to see all these fillies and colts, and then we get to talk about them like on the air. And I think maybe I have a little advantage when I get to see them behind the scenes.
And you're probably partying the night before, aren't you?
No. I've never done that. These are too long a days, and you have to be too focused. So for me, it's, Gabe and I both said yesterday, we're walking out, and it's, hey, good time, thanks for coming, but we'll see you tomorrow.
Roger, how are you doing?
Things have changed over the years, but one thing hasn't changed. It's the greatest day in all of harness racing.
It was good to be here this morning at 7:30 when I heard the Good Morning Delaware, the tradition. Everybody loves it on Wednesday when you're not doing it.
That's when the babies get to sleep in in the morning. Somebody accused me this morning and said, nice Noble would have probably slept until 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I woke him up at 7:30. And Christy says, I will get even with you.
Now, we all do this as a job. Does it ever cross your mind, looking down the road, that you're ready for retirement so you can sit back and enjoy it like all of these people do and just not do what we do and enjoy the day?
Gabe, you can answer. Go ahead.
Well, I was here long before I was working the Jug. I mean, it's brought us to the greatest day in racing, so I think my first Jug was 2015. I only worked the last couple, so I'd be here whether I was working or not. So if I wasn't up here sitting, I'd be out there sitting. I'm going to be here one way or the other.
For me, just coming here as a kid, racing a couple times, once or twice in the Jug, my family did, and then we started working here as the stage manager back in the paddock, which Heather Wilder's doing this year, getting the interviews, and then I was fortunate enough to join the broadcast in 2014. So yeah, I don't know. Just happy to be able to do what I do. So no sign of retirement for me. It's straight ahead, just love harness racing and just keep doing what we do.
Well, let's put it this way. I've got a saying that I've used for so many years. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, I'll see you tomorrow. I've changed that phrase this year. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, but that damn creek's getting awful damn deep.
Let's talk about yesterday's Jugette. David Miller does it again. Roger, you got to yell Miller time one more time, didn't you?
I want to change the subject real quick. Frank, stand up. Stand up. In my estimation, this is the #1 announcer in all of harness racing, and he always be my idol, Frank Salif.
No, that was great. You got to yell Miller time one more time, didn't you?
No. I mean, I think in a way, what the Jug does for me is it keeps me going, you know. My schedule's probably, I'll admit it, it's probably the most difficult schedule of anybody in all of harness racing, except maybe the trainers and the drivers that are racing and stuff like that. I love what I do, and I do it as long as I can.
In the Jugette, Wendy, were you surprised at the times in the eliminations?
I don't think anything surprises us now when it comes to the timer in harness racing. I think the new 49's the new 52 at one point. But no, I wasn't surprised, and especially the way that David rated it just a touch better than Dexter. And I remember in my interview when I interviewed Dexter in the winner's circle, I said, Dex, I looked at that half, I said 54-2. Where are you going here? When he had no pressure. But he said that filly kind of did it on her own, and that's what I said to Dexter. I said, Dex, I'm going to stick to TV. I'll let you stick to driving. But no, I think off of those well-rated fractions, those fillies, these horses nowadays, they can come home, and that's the name of the game. Back it down and spring home, and I think that's just how fast. And the timer is really just the timer nowadays, right?
Yeah, how fast can they go?
Well, it's amazing because, a long time ago, we thought they won a mile 49-1, one of the Jugette eliminations. You would have thought there was a war up front and somebody had to pick up the pieces, the pace was crazy. These two horses both did it on the front end. It was really effortlessly. So hats off, the weather was super, the track crew did an outstanding job, track was great. And again, they did all the work, so it's not like the days they have to be set up to go some sort of crazy mile. They do it all themselves.
And I think the conditions are set up for that. There's not a lot of wind, the track's good, it's just hot enough, not crazy hot, but just hot enough, and you're going to see that, and who knows what we'll see today.
Yes. Roger, you're the man with the numbers. How's everybody doing so far with their picks this week?
On the Jugette, I got to say one thing. I was surprised at the first division, I was surprised in second. Not so much who won, but the times literally shocked me. Because a lot of people said this was just a so-so jug. The jug haters or the Jugette haters, and excuse me, but other racetracks all called it just a so-so field. They proved it wasn't a so-so field. 49-3, 49-1, all those things. I want to say in the second heat, though, David Miller put him to sleep. He was the winner when they hit the half without any of the problems the other horses had, stepping out of a hobble or, getting up so it broke the hobble hanger and stuff and got into a couple of horses. Nobody was going to beat David Miller in that second heat. He wanted to get go, and the rest of them lost the race. So that's my summation on the Jugette.
All right, now give us the numbers. How's everybody doing with their picks?
For when? Today?
The week. How are you doing for the week?
Well, you did eggs. I think it's time for me to retire.
Yeah, you notice how he keeps changing the subject?
He has. I'm noticing that. But with Roger, Wendy, you're not sure if it's the hearing aids and he's not hearing you.
No, he's not.
Exactly.
Let's just put it this way. His daughter, Neville, used my picks yesterday. I got a text last night. We're 100 ahead. You better not be out partying. I hope you're out doing the picks for tomorrow because I'm going with you again. So I can tell you where we're going right now.
Wait a minute. My daughter called me before she ever knew anything. She says, I'm going to be betting today. And I says, well, don't bet my numbers, bet Wendy's.
There you go. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have the three of these help us handicap today's races for the Little Brown Jug when we return to the Delaware County Fairgrounds right after this.
At Ohio State's Galbraith Equine Center, our veterinary champions are here for your champions 24/7, 365 days a year. Our expert team of boarded surgeons, sports medicine and rehabilitation specialists, together with veterinary cardiologists, internal medicine, and ophthalmologists, make our hospital your best resource for all sport horse performance issues. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center's Galbraith Equine Hospital. Call us today at 614-292-6661.
With more than 300,000 horses in Ohio, the economic impact of the equine industry in the state is over $2.8 billion. Much of that value comes from standardbred horse owners, breeders, trainers, and drivers who participate in the sport of harness racing. The mission of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association is to preserve, protect, promote, and serve the entire standardbred industry in Ohio and beyond. To learn more about the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association, go to ohha.com. That's ohha.com.
Welcome back to the speaker series, the Trackside Live here in the OHHA tent. Glad to have everybody here today, and welcome to Jug Day. Roger, you had something?
Yesterday's handle, I believe, was a record for Delaware. I think they bet like $1.1 million. And I want to tell you what's going on. There's a gentleman, and I don't know his name, maybe Gabe knows his name.
Post times?
In Chicago.
Mike Antonitis.
Okay. He is setting the post times here at Delaware in his home in Chicago, Illinois. He does it for a number of other racetracks as well. And he is, and I think Gabe will agree, the best at setting post times. A lot of people complain about the drag and things like that. If it wasn't for the drag and things like that, we'd have never bet $1.1 million.
Yeah, he's really good at it. He actually comes from Balmoral back in the day. So he set all the post times. You know, Balmoral was one of the top handling tracks in the sport. He works with Jason at the Meadowlands as well, and really just has a command center. Chicago watches every other track because in this broadcast era, we're fortunate to have a lot of people on track here, but you really want to be taking off when the fewer tracks are taking off. You don't want to be taking off the same time as any of the other major tracks. Makes a huge difference, and that was his first day, I think, ever, or this first week of him ever setting the post times here in Delaware, and you can see the success.
Well, question I've got, and you can help with this, the 11 a.m. post time. There's really nothing else out there for the first hour, is there?
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, but the handle's not that great early on.
Why wouldn't it be great early on? It gives people the only opportunity. It's just they're not up from last night.
I just think we're all, well, that might be my issue sometimes, but no, I think we're all creatures of habit. You know, no one's used to, having their morning breakfast and being able to bet on horses. Be great if we could do that every day, but I think it's just something new. We're all creatures of habit. Usually everyone's out there playing. They're, tuning in afternoon as they usually do. So I think that does throw a little bit of a curveball. But I think the handle was better than I expected yesterday early because that was a late announced move there for the post time. So even though it was less than the afternoon races, I still was pretty impressed with some of the early race handle too.
Well, every day at Delaware this year, I think we might have had one day that was less than last year, but all the other 3 days, the handle's been up.
Well, that's good to know. All right.
Please, don't complain about the drag. Please don't. It's the only thing that's really saving the sport to a certain degree.
Well, we're going to be here till 6:30 or 7 o'clock anyway, no matter how you go about it. So it's, race by race, it's not really, it is what it is.
All right, well, let's talk a little handicap. And Gabe, you open a program, what's the first thing you look at for a race like the jug or the eliminations? Let's talk. What do you look at first?
Obviously, on a half-mile track, post position is key as well. But, I'm a class handicapper, and the good news is we've got a good look at all these horses, for many, many starts. And sometimes they've raced against each other. But, mainly class, where they're coming from. Are they only in, state-restricted races? Sometimes those aren't as tough as some of the Grand Circuit races. Like that we have here at the jug. So, class is definitely the first thing that I look at. And current form. We're getting deeper into the season. So some horses that, have earned a huge reputation and were very sharp, a couple of months back, they might be tailing off this time of year. And vice versa, some horses that, have come along a little slower, they might be peaking here on the right day. I think we saw that yesterday in the Jugette. That's a horse that, a month ago, if anybody thought she was going to win the Jugette, they would have been lying. I think.
They were coming for the fun.
Yeah, there's no way that you could have really predicted that back, but that's a horse that has really peaked at the right time of year. If you were alive to that in the first heat yesterday, you got the nice 3-to-1 price.
Wendy?
Well, I think for me, you come in now, the jug is easy for me. I cover these colts all year. I've been following them, 2-year-olds back in the spring. We just started going there and following them. So the jug for me is like Gabe said, as far as the colts, I know these horses, it goes a lot on draw and sharpness coming in, right? You're going to go to the ones that are, like he said, might be tailing off, or just a colt that is just sharp. It is just a good horse all around, right? And if they draw good, that's a big thing. But for me coming in here, I don't want to go to these Ohio fairs. Thank God for Steve Bates in there, a little bit filling us in, but I don't follow the fairs. I wish I could. I wish I had the time to go to the county fairs, but I don't. Frank, you're lucky. So for me, I come in and I just look, all right, especially when you get to these trotters, you look at consistency, no breaks. Horses just go out there, can get around any size track, just love to do their work. For me, and then of course the draw helps a little bit, but for me with these trotters and these young horses at the fairs, as long as they're consistent, they show up every week, you know that they're going to show up where you're here too.
Yeah, I think the fair circuit, the one good thing to keep in mind is, they're tough to handicap, the lines, the charting, the times. It's always good to see who these horses ran against. There was a race here yesterday, I think the second race of the day. Jason Beatty was 20-1 in the morning line. He won and got off 9-1. But if you went through those lines, forget the times, forget everything else. You saw who he was finishing second and third and behind. Some really top horses here in Ohio. But a lot of people just disregard them, come up with those fair tracks. There was a horse that was very live, 9-1, had been facing good horses and overlooked. I think sometimes the pari-mutuel track horses get overbet because people are familiar with the race lines and the racetracks.
Roger?
How many races do we have? That's the first thing I look at when I sit there. And then the second thing I do is to set up the schedule, which ones Jason's going to tell. As far as the handicapping goes, I hate to handicap. I hate it. It's the worst part of anything I have to do. I had to do it at Pompano, the Red Mile, the Meadows, over here, and I get no enjoyment handicapping. Sometimes I think I'm stabbing in the dark. I'd more than likely will always take the favorites, picking the chalk. But if you ever see one that I pick and he's 15 to 1, you better bet the horse. Because at least I think he's got a shot of winning. But I hate handicapping, so the last thing I do is to look at the lines and come up with the numbers.
All right. Now, what's more important, the driver or the post position?
Well, I think, I'll go first, guys, I'll answer this. I think you got to start with a good draw. But if you do get a really seasoned guy that's just a good driver, not to take anything away from anybody else, we never want to say anything bad or hurt anyone's feelings, but David Miller is David Miller, right? Dexter Dunn's become Dexter Dunn. Tim Tetrick's Tim Tetrick, right? These guys are who they are. They've had the opportunity to sit behind thousands, hundreds of thousands of horses. So I would say draw is good. It makes their job easier, but you still got to have a good driver. I think the better the driver is definitely more important. They can overcome a bad draw.
Yeah, I think it really, the way I handicap a race when I first look at it, particularly on a half-mile track, I try to determine how the race is going to set up in my head. So if a horse has an outside post, it doesn't necessarily stop me or make me take a step back if I think the horse has enough speed to get out there and get position. For instance, I think it's the 10th race today. I like a horse out of the 8-hole a lot who has a ton of speed. So the 8-hole's not backing me up whatsoever. In fact, I think it'll make the price higher. So I'm actually almost glad he drew outside because I think he's going to cross over like Steph Curry at about 3 steps off the wings today. And you're going to get value because he has the 8-hole. The same horse is drawn inside, he'd be a much less price. So that doesn't stop me. I think particularly here during Delaware, though, you always have to look at the drivers because, of anywhere in the world, there's some massive driver changes here this week because a lot of these horses are coming off the fair tracks. A lot of the owners have been driving, the trainers have been driving. So, if you see anybody that's just a regular pari-mutuel guy, obviously the Grand Circuit guys, even a level above that. But, there are very significant driver changes, and I think that's one thing to pay particular attention to, here in Delaware.
4 days, how many winners have come out of the 8-hole? Any idea?
I don't know that.
Any idea?
Do you have that stat?
I've got that stat. Here, this week, how many have come out of the 8-hole?
It'd be a guess at mine, I would say 5, 6.
Zip. We have not had a winner out of the 8-hole. 1 out of the 9, 1 out of the 10, 0 out of the 8.
Oh, guess who had that 1 out of the 10? This girl.
We're going to change that today. Race 10, we're going to change that today.
That is not a fair judgment here. There's only 5 days of racing. But normally out of the 8-hole, any racetrack there is, it's about 5 or 6%, and that's what it is. Now, as far as the horse and the driver, everybody says it's 80% the horse and 20% the driver. I think it's 80% of the driver and 20% of the horse. Nothing against the horses, but I think the drivers are much more important. When I handicap, I go through it. No way, no way, no way. And that's the first thing I look at is the driver.
Well, the rail is 117, the 2-hole has 13, and then it's the 5-hole with 12 wins.
I wonder how many races, though, they've actually gone 8 across. It's not a tremendous amount.
No, it's not, but still, though, just the fact that none.
Yeah, zero
was kind of a surprise. Yeah. So. All right, couple of quick storylines. First-time drivers in the jug. Austin Hanners, Louis-Philippe Roy making their first starts. Will nerves play a factor for those two?
I was fortunate enough to talk with Austin Hanners when he was in the Battle Lake Erie up there at Northfield. I think he's going to be nervous. I think he's going to be more nervous than Scotty Z or Dexter, I'm sure. But just because he's Ohio, knowing his dad's got he's always got that legacy of his dad and things like that. Yeah, he'll be a little nervous. But let me tell you something about Austin Hanners. That kid impresses me, and I know you probably feel the same way watching him. He's cool, he's calm, he's collected. So he might be a little nervous this jug, but I think we're definitely going to see him in more jugs down the road. Louis Roy, he's not going to be nervous. Louis Roy he knows he's got a great horse, and he shouldn't be nervous. He should just be wondering, he's the horse to beat. So if he's nervous just because he knows that he's got a target on his back. But Louis was very, very capable. Both of them, okay. Austin probably going to have some more nerves than Louis did.
I think Austin, first of all, he's got to drive in the race. How cool is that for a 25-year-old Ohio kid to have a drive in the Little Brown Jug? I mean, this is the Super Bowl for him. I mean, Austin's probably been at the Jug since he was 1 or 2 years old, right? So, yeah, there might be a little nerves, but I'm just so happy for him. He's done such great things at this early stage of his career. But, this is probably, the one thing he has dreamt about is he didn't want to be in any other race in his life than to have a horse going by and getting a Little Brown Jug. So there might be a few nerves, but I think once he gets out there on the track, as someone who's driven in a charity match race, and I was the most nervous guy that's ever lived, but when you get out there picking the horse, that all sort of falls by the wayside. I think he'll be fine. And as far as Louis goes, he's driven on all the big stages, but the atmosphere of Delaware is different than anywhere else in the world. So he might still be taking in a lot of this crowd and action and taking it as well. Who knows? But I think he'll shake it off.
Well, of course you're nervous after you fell out of the bike the day before. Roger, Austin Hanner's dad drove in this race. You saw Austin Hanner's father drive in this race, so it's got to be neat to see the sons of some of these people who have been driving.
Austin Hanner's will be extremely nervous today. I understand it, because it's the first for him. And I talked to Austin about 2 or 3 days ago, and he said that. He admitted he's going to be nervous because this is a big step up for him. The other drivers, he shouldn't have any problem about first time in the Jug or anything like that. But I'm going to throw in another thing. I'm not going to give you his name. I won't give you the name. But there is a top driver in harness racing who only won one race here at Delaware in like his first 55 drives. I think the half-mile track, you've got to drive them totally different. And this driver hardly ever raced on a half-mile track. Always at the Meadowlands or Meadows, or I'm naming a bunch of 5/8 mile tracks that are all a pencil right to driving. But I think the biggest problem is the drivers that come in that race primarily at the Meadowlands, a mile track, or at the 5/8 mile track. It takes a special type of driver to race on a half-mile track.
And I don't disagree with you, Roger. When you talk about these top 10 guys in the country, I mean, they drive good just about anywhere they go.
They do. They've got a large set of hands, but even you see some of these guys go over to yonder sometimes for some of the states races, and they get a little lost that they're always used to being on a big track because obviously on a half position is everything. So you don't get as exposed quite as much on a mile track if you're not in great position. But it is difficult for guys that don't do it on a daily basis. But they're obviously the widest set of hands. They can make a horse go better than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to totally disagree with Wendy. I'll still stay my point.
What else?
This guy, I'll even go closer. He was a top 5 driver in harness racing that went 1 for 57 in his first shift.
Are we going to get a name here? We'll have to go research this guy.
Can you tell us the name?
I'm not going to give you a name.
Somebody's got to do some research. Okay, now, as we get close to wrapping this up, because all of us have to get across. 4 past winners: David Miller, Yannick, Scott Zoran, Jody Jamison. Do they have an advantage having won this race?
Well, I think they're all very capable of winning the race again. I think it's just imagine the horsepower they have going into today. Jody Jamison's horse from the rail, don't overlook that one. Captain Quarters, they brought him here for a reason. He wasn't 100% going into the Meadowlands pace. They had to qualify him because they didn't have races from the woodbine. So Captain Quarters from the rail, Jody Jamison, Jody came here to drive that colt from the rail for a reason. Don't overlook that. David Miller's David Miller, right? Scotty Zeron, when the money's on the line, that kid's won a lot of races for him being 32 years old. Scotty Zeron is the guy. He's the money man for a reason.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to get their picks for the Little Brown Jug right after this.
For over 50 years, Midland Acres has provided top-quality Ohio-bred colts and fillies. As a third-generation farm, we understand the importance of delivering well-cared-for and well-mannered yearlings. Get in the winner's circle with the yearlings by Fear the Dragon, Yankee Cruiser, Long Tom, Summa Cum Laude, Ready for Money, and Bit of a Legend. Midland Acres, doing our best to bring you the best.
The future is bright in Ohio. Ohio Sire Stakes, Buckeye Stallion Series, 66 county and independent fairs. Whether it's the Ohio Sire Stakes, the Buckeye Stallion Series, or the county fairs, Ohio has a place for your racehorse. This year, Ohio breds are racing for nearly $23 million in stakes purses. Be part of the winning. Breed, buy, race, win in Ohio.
Welcome back to the speaker series and our last segment for our Trackside Live. And we're going to get the picks right now from our panelists to see who they are expecting to win this race. Roger, let's start with you.
Casey Coleman. She wants to win the first division. She wants to win the second division. She wants to finish 1-2 in the final. Casey's horse, I asked her which one's going to win the jug. She says, I don't know. That's up to the trips. Both horses need a different type of a trip and such, but I'm going with Casey's horses, either one of them.
You got to pick one. Come on.
No. Casey doesn't even know which one.
Well, she's standing back there. Pick one.
Did she pick one?
She's not on stage. You are. She wants to know who you're picking.
Who did she pick in the earlier seminar?
Well, she picked Dujinski in the first elimination, and she picked Legendary Hanover in the second. We ran out of time. I didn't have time because you guys were coming. So you got to pick which one.
I'm going to take Legendary Hanover.
All right, there's the first one. We're going to use this microphone since it's tough to hear. Wendy?
For me in the first elimination, I'm going to go with Nijinsky. I think the Colts just got all the tools, as I've been saying for the last couple of days, all the tools in the toolbox to be effective. He comes in here razor sharp in search of 4 in a row. I think he's the Colt to beat throughout. The second elimination for me could go 3-1, 1-3. Just to go off of Roger, I'm going to go the one here, Captain's Quarters. I know I talked about him here just a couple minutes ago, but I like this Colt. And also a big shout out in the first elimination to my favorite colt in all of the sport of harness racing, Captain Albano, coming off that break in the PA Sire Stake final. We've heard there's nothing to be concerned about. Big nod goes to Captain Albano as well. But for me, as of right now, I take Nijinsky to win the whole shebang.
All right, over to Gabe Prewitt. Gabe?
Wendy just gave my horse a mention. I will concede that Legendary Hanover and Nijinsky are the two to beat. But I kept it on that. I think we're going to get some value out of him. He upset Legendary Hanover the Helmet. He won the Adios, made a mistake last time out, but we can forgive that. Probably going to help the price here today, so I think Captain Albano rebounds. He's my pick for the judge.
All right, there you have it. That wraps up our Trackside Live Speaker Series today. We want to thank everybody for coming out. We want to thank our guests. Enjoy the Little Brown Jug from the Delaware County Fair. Goodbye, everybody. We'll have countdown.
This has been Ohio County Fair Racing. Ohio County Fair Racing has been presented by Midland Acres, thestable.ca, Dublin Valley Farms, Big D Tack and Vet Supply, and the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center. Ohio County Fair Racing is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.